Today we're at Arizona Yard Maintenance, where they do over $1.2 million in annual revenue.
So right now it's good, but I'm just barely scraping by, basically paycheck to paycheck.
However, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt on equipment like this that's not being used. 17, 18% interest, something like that?
No, it's like more like 40. I wasn't able to pay it. I just told them like, hey, like I can't continue doing this. Like I'm gonna quit the business entirely.
This $100,000 piece of equipment, not being used. This $90,000 piece of equipment, not being used very much. Okay, the chipper, we don't use that very often. Let's get rid of that. Like all of this, I'd just be getting rid of everything.
I've thought about it, but I've also like put a lot into everything I've had and paid interest payments. I don't want to. I'd rather struggle for a little bit longer.
But right now, they're paying over $35,000 a month in just debt payments.
But that doesn't include the $8,000. It's like 300 bucks a day.
You're paying that off, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's for like 10 more months.
Let's see if we can turn this thing around. I would love in 5 years if you're like, I have paid everything off. We now have a $2 million business. I'm running 50% profit margin. Everything is paid off. Oh man, I would love it. Oh my word. Dude, that's insane. Not just lights on the house, lights on top of the house. What's up, brother?
How's it going, man?
Dude, this place is popping.
Thank you.
Let's go. How long you lived here?
For about 4 years now.
Wow, man, good to see you,
man.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think it was in Bellingham last time at the conference I saw you.
Yeah.
At one point, you were really into the drug scene and all that sort of thing. What helped you get out of that?
Really what motivated me was having my daughter. I got into drugs because of depression, self-medicating, because I had some deep issues.
When I first started my business, I was making very little money. I was in a very bad spot mentally. Physically, I was rough about 5 years ago. This was before my daughter was born.
So you had your daughter, and that was kind of like the wake-up call you needed.
Yeah. So I had my daughter, and I knew I didn't want to have this innocent child have a father that's like a deadbeat, you know. So I suffered for 3 months. I didn't go to any sort of like rehab. Yeah, I just suffered through it and got off of it, and then it slowly started to get better after about a year and a half. I knew I had a daughter on the way. I knew I wasn't a dirtbag. I, had to be there for this innocent child. My daughter was something powerful, more powerful than myself, to give me the strength to quit.
The reason I asked is because there's a couple friends I have that I've seen came out of that, and then they really got, instead of drugs, they started putting it on like other things. My one friend is like, he bought this crazy house. It was like stupid, and then he ended up having to lose it. But he put his identity into the house, right? And what I don't want to see you do is put identity in the trucks and the equipment, because like that is not the business. The business is ultimately, we could look at, okay, what's the cash flow, what's the debt, and like the liabilities and the assets. And currently, like the assets are lower than the liabilities, right? And theoretically is insolvent unless a business is going to grow out of that, right? And that is a scary proposition, as long as you know how like important it is that we grow. And that it is profitable growth. Do you guys install lights for the business?
No, we don't. Just these bunch of lights I had.
Dude,
yeah. Want people to enjoy it,
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Kids enjoy it, all that, so.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
2.
These are my 2 daughters, Athena and Lily. Here's Lily. Here's her custom shirt. Say smile, Lily. Today's Sunday. We're gonna spend some family time together. We're gonna go up to the lake. My daughter, she has cancer right now. She's gonna start treatment next week. Hello?
Daddy, I didn't get to say bye or a hug.
I'm sorry, honey. I'll be back soon.
Okay.
I love you.
Love you.
She has surgery today. She's gonna start chemotherapy today for her brain cancer. Hopefully that goes well. Pray that goes well.
Yeah. Is your daughter doing better?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, good.
Yeah. She's in remission now, so.
Okay, good. She still has to go back for treatment and stuff, though?
Just MRIs every 3 months.
Okay. Good stuff. Awesome, man.
Yeah, the tumor hasn't been growing at all, so very, very happy about that. There's a big weight lifted off my chest when I found that out, so.
And so revenue for 2024, what do you think that's gonna land at?
Probably like around 1.2, so about the same.
Yeah.
It was like only in the last 6 months that I realized I just can't handle it, and that I was taking too much time away from the family, all that. Felt guilty. Because the whole reason why I started this company is to spend time with my daughter, my family, and all that. So like if I notice I'm like just working and like asking my mom to watch my daughter, it's like that doesn't make sense. So it's like you gotta stop. Like what's the point? Like all this stuff is real nice, but to me it's not that important.
Success looks different for everyone. Getting really clear about why you started the business and why you continue to grow the business is many times the thing that will keep your head in the game when you want to quit, when you want to throw in the towel. And so for Aaron to know that like the reason he's building this business, the reason he is in business is for his family and to spend that time with them is extremely important. Then we should optimize everything in the business to ensure that that why, that goal of spending time with the family is accomplished.
Do you have an office over there, or is that here where you do most of your kind of office work?
I usually do it in that truck right there.
Oh really? Dude,
Yeah,
that thing's
yeah.
a beast.
Yeah.
Should they come here in the morning? Do they park here, or did you go over to the shop and drop stuff there then?
They just park here, like.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So none of the neighbors really care?
They used to care when the whole street was lined up full of trailers and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
so now you moved all the trailers over.
Yeah. They got sick of that, which I don't blame them. I felt bad. Now that I think about it, I'm like, man, I had all this in front of my neighbors' houses and stuff, like for years, So like they must have really liked me to put up with it for like 3 years.
So kind of give me an update the last couple years, how things been.
Kind of the same old, man.
Yeah.
Just, surviving.
Okay. That's
so
funny you said. On the way here, we're like, he's a survivor.
Yeah. So it's pretty much same situation as before,
The acute issue of $8,000 in the bank with an $800,000 business, 1% of annual revenue in the bank is like scary. You're one big job that doesn't pay on time away from like a really very stressful moment. You're not going to be able to handle it all at 150,000 plus a month in revenue. And that's the size of business I feel you're going to need to grow to make it worthwhile to have all this debt and this large equipment.
When I do trees, I've made around $20,000 in the last couple of days, 2.5 days, so that's why I got all this equipment. I can just easily make money when I have this equipment.
I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty concerned about Aaron and his business after that call. I don't think he quite sees the gravity of the cash crunch and the balance sheet.
Maybe there's like a little area in between in the last couple of years where I felt like struggling mentally, just like being able to handle it all.
When I look at a company that is struggling, it's like, okay, first and foremost, we need to stay alive. Then we can focus on thriving and growing profits, etc. When you only have $2,000 in cash, but there's almost $300,000 in liabilities, that's very scary.
But then I took a step back and like lowered my crew size and, because it's very important your mental health and all that
What was the crew size at and what's it at now?
I got 5 guys full time now.
Okay.
And then I did have up to 12 people.
Got it. And your 5 guys, just kind of like your best crew, you took those?
Exactly.
Because you took all the basically the best of your 12.
Yeah.
Got it.
They slowly weeded themselves out.
Got it. I was gonna say,
really, it wasn't just like one day, like you're done. I just kept having issues. Jobs were taking way too long. Like I have GPS on the vehicles. I was like wondering where like the guys are. Like why did you go to this wrong house? It almost seemed like it was being done on purpose or whatever.
The only problem I'm having is I'm not making any money with Crew B. 0 negative money. And it looks like one of the crews hasn't done that. They're off. I sent them text messages. So that's kind of frustrating that that wasn't done. I wish they would have followed directions. I've always done trees and I've always done maintenance, but I used to have to rent that equipment versus owning it. Yeah, so it's basically saving me money. And I knew this was going to be a challenge getting all this equipment, but I feel like I'm confident enough that if I need to, I can go door to door and, make some sales to pay my bills.
I figured it would be good for marketing purposes. Like, oh, this guy has his stuff together. He has like this, $100,000 truck. Like, just it puts your foot in the door as far as like credibility. In addition with everything else that they already may know about me.
So no more trucks and equipment for the next 10 months though, right?
No. Yeah, like because I pretty much have everything I need. I have like an excavator, 2 S70 Bobcat.
By reducing the crew size, do you think? Do you have an excess truck or equipment, or is it?
I do.
Okay.
I do now. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I felt like I was kind of getting taken advantage of from my guys that were working, or they just weren't trained up enough.
Yeah.
So they weren't really bringing in that much money. It was just all the money that they were bringing in was going right back out.
Like, what software do you use right now for your projects?
To keep track of my scheduling?
Yeah, scheduling, for example. Yeah.
I just use the reminders app on my iPhone.
I'd recommend getting started with some software though. Like your size of business, the fact that you're running on your reminders app must mean you're a reminders app genius, because I don't have a clue how you do that.
I tried the other.
Google Tasks now. You moved off the app. Oh,
no, this is still reminders.
Okay, all right.
But I made it better. So like I went and like it's all like that way. If I die or whatever, like someone can just take over.
Okay.
You know,
yeah,
like and continue on.
Have my iCloud, baby.
Yeah.
It'll get you hooked up.
It's not that bad, really.
Yeah.
You know, like
cool.
about 30 minutes a day.
That's where I see you have to have a software, because you're going to need someone else to start handling a lot of the stuff that you're doing currently, like scheduling, dispatching, invoicing. You're not going to be able to handle it all at 150,000 plus a month in revenue, right? And that's why you're hitting this cash crunch, because you've invested so much for the upfront of what you're going to grow the business into. We've got to get there pretty quickly though. And in my mind, you're going to have to eventually hand things off that are not sales related to somebody else.
So that's one question I had, you know, maybe you could help out with, you know, like it's been on my mind, is I definitely have the ability to grow the business. I know the work's out there. There's plenty of work. And I have all the trucks, you know, there's 2 trucks sitting right over there. I got trailers, all that equipment. What would be a way to get a general manager to help me out to alleviate some of my workload? You know?
Yeah, like right now, your role in the business is mostly the sales side, I'm assuming, right?
I also do some work too.
Okay, so
labor.
Kind of like project management, hopping out with the guys occasionally.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah, it's more efficient.
My struggle with that is, can the business afford a general manager, right?
Probably not right now.
Yeah,
that's why I'm waiting.
Yeah, especially at the level like the size that you're at, like the size, but also the amount of services that you do. Like the amount of services you do would require someone that does 6 figures as a salary, simply because they have to do like excavation, stump grinding, like irrigation, like all of those skills. They would otherwise just start their own thing if they have those skills, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a difficult GM to find, and a lot of times that's why we will kind of condense what services we do offer, is so that we can find a general manager easier. Because you have like, what, 15 years of doing this?
Yeah, 16, yeah.
And so like, to find someone that can do all of that,
They'll just have their own business?
They just have their own business.
Yeah.
Or you pay them gobs of money, and then it's just a matter of, can the business afford that? And so if we're gonna take 120 grand, that's 10% off top line revenue to a GM, well then we've got to be at least 20% profitable now to just afford that.
So right now it's good, but I'm just barely scraping by, basically paycheck to paycheck, you know, like paying all the bills.
And I knew this was going to be a challenge getting all this equipment, you know, but I feel like I'm confident enough that if I need to, I can go door to door and, you know, make some sales to pay my bills. I've always ran my business very tight though. So it's almost like I'm forced to hustle, forced to go out and make money, and I'm just constantly reinvesting into the business.
Now advertise. I think you build up a reputation, you have the website dialed in, and then you spend most of your time instead of on the job, because like right now you still do go out on jobs, which I think you should when you have 4 or 5 employees. If you were to scale, then you become the salesperson.
Yeah.
Which I think you crush on sales. Like you're a very likable person and people will want to buy from you.
Thanks, man.
If you had more time out of the field right now, do you think you'd get more sales? Or is it more a matter of like the leads come in, you're able to kind of get to them right now, and it's not a big constraint?
It's whatever I want to do, I guess, you know, like is how I feel. Like I feel like I have the ability to go out and do sales, you know, but then I just take on more stress,
right?
You know, so, and I'm already stressed as it is, you know, with the way things are, you know.
Why would you not want to just sell equipment then?
Because I bought all this stuff and like I've, you know, spent tens of thousands of dollars on this stuff, you know.
It almost sounds like Aaron's emotionally attached to this equipment. And this part just makes me so frustrated when it comes to home service businesses that are negatively impacted and their business is struggling simply because they have put the weight of their business on the external validation that comes with more trucks and more equipment and more employees. And the reason that we all do it, including myself, when I first started Augusta Lawn Care, the reason I bought more trucks and I got more equipment just to fill my yard was it because it looked good. It was the thing that proved everyone wrong that said I couldn't do it. It was the thing that made me look like I was building a successful big business by having a bunch of trucks lined up against the road, having a bunch of trailers. That's not what pays the bills. Customers and contracts, not shiny equipment. The trucks and equipment that you buy is just a tool that is necessary to perform the services to solve the problems for customers and generate revenue. It is a tool, not an extension of yourself, not a badge of honor.
Like that trailer's paid off, that trailer's paid off. Like all these trailers, like the stump grinder's paid off. You know, the only thing I owe is, well, the big shit.
Yeah.
I mean, because then I don't have the ability to make $15,000 in a day.
This sales tactic used by manufacturers and sales reps drives me bonkers. It's the reason why so many home service business owners are broke. And it's the fact that it is easy to always make sense financially of saying, well, yes, if you get 1 or 2 jobs a month, if you get 3 or 4 jobs, it pays for itself. What we don't take into account is all the other phantom costs that come along with owning more equipment. You have to maintain the equipment. You have to train all of your employees on how to use the equipment. You have to store the equipment. It's like renting space or buying land or storage facilities. These are costs that go into beyond the actual payment for that piece of equipment.
Right now, like for example, today, what are they out on the job site with?
Right now, they're just doing reoccurring maintenance.
Right.
So they're just like trimming bushes,
But so all that stuff's probably mostly paid off.
Yeah.
Small stuff.
Yeah.
So we make $36,000 a month now on recurring.
Yeah.
So instead of going after $100,000 and having all the debt, why not just go after the $40,000 a month of recurring and then scale that side?
So, yeah, okay. So, I've asked that question to myself too. The value of it's not the same. Like, I probably owe $80,000 on that truck, but I'm not gonna get 80 grand for that truck.
How much do
now.
you think you get for it?
I don't know, really. I don't think 80 though.
Okay.
You know?
But even if you did that and you had say 60 or 70 grand between like the depreciation already on these pieces of equipment, let's say you paid some of it off though too.
Yeah.
Like I think you'd be relatively close. Like you bought this year, that one's only a year or 2 old. Like you might have 50, 60, 70 grand, but on that you're gonna be paying 2-3 grand a month instead of right now like $35,000 a month.
I guess I'll get to that point. If I ever feel like I can't handle it, then I'll just. It is what it is,
Like return on equity is a very big number I would be looking at if I was you. And that is, how often am I using my assets? The equity that I've put into the business, how profitable is it for me? And these assets have to be utilized more. And if they're only being utilized 1 day a week or even 2 days a week, I wouldn't even be, like personally, I wouldn't even do that service anymore. I only want to take a current asset and I just beat the thing into the ground by using it, because that's when it's its most profitable.
I have around $30,000 of just reoccurring payments I have to make every month, so like overhead cost. That doesn't include a loan that I got too though.
Got it.
Which I restructured that loan. It was like 16 grand every month taken out on top of that 30.
Right.
And then now I got it worked, so it's like 8 grand.
So basically it's 8 plus
the
30.
It's 27,000 for the trucks and everything,
I'd be really encouraging, like, let's either cut services out or just take the services that we have and just sell more of those and not get allured by like, okay, if I have one planting job with boxwoods, I've got to go buy a $50,000, $60,000 piece of equipment. Like, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
The debt will eventually catch up.
Yeah. I'm going to hold off on it until I get some money in the bank.
Especially at this stage where the debt is at. If you're not using that piece of equipment every single day, I literally don't want you to buy it.
On this one, how many more years do we have before this is paid off?
So this thing is like probably one of the cheaper things I have. I think 3 years.
How much is this new?
Like 31,000. Okay. So I didn't really need it when I ended up getting it. I had an Axe 17 and my guys rolled it, so I ended up getting this. And then it actually pays for itself because they have chip drop, but
like how often is this being used? Like
not enough. It's not used enough.
Okay.
Yeah, not enough.
Let's say we do 100,000 a month in revenue. Is that usually 10 or 20,000 a month of that coming from trees then?
I don't really know the numbers on that.
You want to know the most risky thing in business? Not knowing your numbers and going into debt. You combine those two things and you have a lethal combination that many times leads in catastrophe. So for Aaron not to know his numbers, but then also be able to say, well, I can buy equipment and I can go into debt because the numbers make sense. We don't even know our numbers. How do we make sense of buying more trucks, getting more equipment if we don't know the revenue? We don't know how much revenue it's going to produce. We don't know our hourly rate. We don't know how much profit we had last month. How do we even know if we can afford this new debt?
How much do we still owe on this? Like 60,
Quite a
70?
bit. No, because I just got it with the whole accident. Probably 90.
Okay. And that's $2,000 a month though, that payment.
Yeah.
Do you think you could sell it? Like, have you ever thought about selling some of it and liquidating it?
I don't want to. I'd rather struggle for a little bit longer, and I've been struggling for this long, years. Like,
what's a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing good like in a little while, you know.
Look, I know people are going to absolutely flame Aaron in the comments, and it's easy to hate on him because of the missteps that he's made financially. But you have to admire his optimism in the face of all this crushing debt and the odds stacked against him. And I actually believe that that could potentially be the thing that if he's given education and the tools and resources to grow the business, just maybe this optimism gets him through it. But man, this is tough.
This boom lift, I owe like 25 on this. Yep.
An old Sunbelt? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, that one's crazy nice.
Yeah, I just got this one. This thing's like another $1,900 a month. You can drive it around. It reaches up taller. If you want to go in it, man, I'll take you up. If you're down for it, you want to go up and
Sure, let's do it. Let's do it, man. I thought maybe that was my booster seat.
Are you scared of heights?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'm down,
Good.
dude.
It's a little cold. This green one's the same, like as the pedal.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
You know, just so you know, if I have a heart attack, die, whatever up here, you know how to work this thing.
That's really reassuring.
And then we'll switch to this. If it starts going like a siren sound,
Yeah.
then
You're off balance.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's too dangerous, man.
So it's
Yeah.
like, this is 70, probably like 80 feet?
It's 69 feet.
So you basically refinanced a lot of the bad debt into like one bigger loan.
I wasn't able to pay it, so you know, so I just told him like, hey, like I can't continue doing this. Like I'm gonna just quit the business entirely. You know, like
it's a good cool
you know,
card
like,
to pull sometimes.
Yeah, like, but that was the thing, you know, because like I was working hard every day, you know, like just I burned myself out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and I realized I can't continue to do this, and what's most important is my family. You know, like I can start up from nothing again and be okay.
So right now we're looking at around $35,000 a month in fixed expenses, or is that in loan payments right now?
$27,000 in fixed, but that doesn't include the $8,000. It's like $300 a day.
You're paying that off, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's for like 10 more months.
All right, so basically we have to make probably, I'd imagine, 70, 80, probably 90,000 a month to kind of break even.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So
that's stressful.
It was, yeah. I mean, it can be stressful if you really think about it, you know. But
if you think about it, well, it's a lot of debt, and I understand our plan is like to grow out of it. I get that 100%. I'm just concerned in the meantime, like the next 12 months. I don't do as well underneath that financial pressure as you do. It seems like you really put yourself there almost in order to force yourself to just keep kicking butt? Or is it for you, like you need the financial pressure? Because I understand some people do. They need that pressure to get up and just like hustle. Or is it, you know, could you do that without that kind of pressure?
Yeah, I don't know if it stems from childhood too, you know? I mean, like when I was a kid, my dad, he used to always put that on us as a kid, the financial stress. Like, oh, we're not gonna, you know, have enough money to pay our bills. Like, and that did teach me to become a very hard worker, because I'd go out there and I'd help him, you know, and I'd bust my ass, you know, trying to make sure like our bills are gonna get paid. I've learned that that's irresponsible. I would never put that on my children, but I think maybe I still put that on myself. I feel like I purposely put myself under that stress or that struggle just to be uncomfortable and force myself to get ahead.
As long as you know it's risky. As long as you know it's like when they go to the insurance and they're like, make sure you sign this waiver. As long as you know it's risky, because it's extremely risky in terms of having that kind of debt and then still growing. Is it usually kind of like each summer where it kind of gets more difficult from a mental perspective, just like from a burnout perspective?
I would say just burned out, you know. I feel fine now, though.
Yeah.
I just took like a week off and just accepted the fact that it is what it is, you know. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to redo that loan.
Right.
You know, but once I was able to redo that, then it's better.
Yeah, because that was like, they basically cut it in half to restructure it for you. Is that kind of
Yeah. I just ended up having to pay a little bit more interest, so it would have been paid off like right now, but then they extended it like another 10 months.
Got it.
You know?
Is it a daily payment then?
Yeah, it's like $300 a day.
So this was this the last purchase before the restructuring of the debt? Because was that this summer that all happened?
In like August.
Okay. All right. But all the equipment stuff that's all separate. The stuff that had to get kind of refinanced and redone.
That was just one of those shark loans, man.
Got it,
that I got.
Okay, got it. So that's the $300 per day.
Yeah.
They're like 17-18% interest, something like that.
No, it's like more like 40.
40%? That's insane. That means that if you took $10,000 of debt that in 1 year, you'd spend $4,000 on interest without paying any of it off. That is insanity. And the reason that they have to charge 40% in interest is because it's very high risk. The chance of him going under, the chance of him going bankrupt, the chance of them ever collecting on this loan is so low they have to charge twice what a regular credit card. A credit card's like 20 or 25%. It's 40%. This is insanity.
It's a lot of money just blown.
But the hope is that you can make it in the 10 months.
Yeah, I feel like I can.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
And so the question becomes, well, is there ever a time I should get this type of high interest debt? And in my opinion, if the business has come to the point where an underwriter at a bank or at a credit card company is charging you 40%, the business is in dire straits. You're gonna have to be humble enough to realize that you need help, that you need to reach out to a coach, you need to reach out to a mentor. You gotta go ask someone else, even if it's a competitor that's successful locally, and ask for help. These are the type of situations that if you find yourself in, where you're getting this crazy, crippling amount of debt for this type of interest, this could really hurt your family. And I encourage you to do two things. One, go to mikeandys.com/turnaround, and I'll come out like Aaron and try to help you before this actually happens and you get this type of debt. And secondly, if you don't want to be on the show, I understand. I don't have to come out in person. Just go to the course at mikeandys.com. It's completely free and it'll walk you through how to turn the business around, and hopefully you do it before getting a 40% interest loan.
Because right now, if our fixed expense of just debt is $35,000 a month, and $300 a day is like a very, very high interest loan, I'm trying to get rid of that as fast as possible. Even if that means I only do 60 or 70,000 a month in revenue, but now I can get my loans down to $5,000 or $6,000. And I think what you said earlier is right. And it's like we have two different philosophies on the business, right? I can never take out debt like you have. It would just kill me. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able, like, I don't know how you do it. You're very, very risk tolerant, and I think given your background and what you've been through, this doesn't seem like a lot of stress to you. That's tremendous. I could never do this. If I was looking at just strictly the business, I'd be okay, we don't use this very often, let's get rid of that. Okay, the chipper, we don't use that very often, let's get rid of that. Like all of this, I'd just be getting rid of everything.
Yeah.
Because I'd be trying to get as close to bringing my fixed expenses down.
I mean, it can be stressful if you really think about it,
Yeah.
but if you just like have faith, if you have faith,
if you think about it.
yeah, you think about it, but if you just like, live life, have faith in God, then that's how I've been,
Right.
be happy, and, you'll draw more, you're more attracted to your customers, people around you. So, I try to have that mindset, just it'll be all right. I mean, I was paying for like a year, $16,000 every month, but I just couldn't keep that up.
Right.
So, yeah.
Mercy, man. I don't know how you deal with all that stress, bro. That's tough. That's tough.
It's mindset, man. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah. Hey, if we can just pay things off and not buy new things, in 5 years, yes, I would agree. It's like things are mostly be paid off.
Yeah, that's one thing. I bought I don't know if you guys saw the other truck out there on the road. Real nice truck. I bought that last year, thinking that I would have to pay $25,000 less on my taxes, but apparently, I was already in a loss.
Right. Right.
So it ended up not working out that way.
Right.
So I kind of got some bad advice from my CPA on that.
Yeah.
But so I probably wouldn't have bought that truck had I known.
Just when you thought we had heard it all, now we're buying a truck based upon tax savings when we have no profits. The fact is that these equipment manufacturers, and now somehow our CPA is telling us to buy more stuff to save on taxes. A Section 179, where you take a deduction against your income to save on taxes, only is relevant if you are making money. And so if you're not profiting $50, $60, $100,000 or more every single year in bottom line take-home profits that you're reporting to the IR and the S, if you're not taking that money home, there's no reason to be doing Section 179. There's no reason to be buying trucks and equipment and a hunk of metal at the end of the year for stuff you're not even going to use. It's just going to inflate the amount of fixed expenses you have on debt, on insurance, and you gotta park this thing now. This is asinine.
And so right now, it's like we have to basically make 90 to 100,000 just to get things paid down. And then the hope is 10 months, we have a big chunk of that paid off.
Yeah, or or also just maybe push a little harder, maybe do a little bit of advertising, but I have to balance my sanity.
Right. That's my concern. That's my concern. It's that push and pull versus if you push and then all of a sudden you don't want to work. Well then, now all of a sudden it's why do we try to grow?
So Mike, I mean, you have the experience and stuff. Is there anything that stands out to you that you might want to recommend that maybe you're not recommending just to hold back or whatever?
It really it's how you want to build the business, right? But the challenging part is once you get equipment, a lot of times you can't just like liquidate it and get rid of it because now you still have the debt is greater than the value of the piece of equipment. And so, and many times the growth is the only way to get past it, but you have like the equipment that you could probably build a $3 million business. That's challenging. Like it's like, do I recommend you grow it, outgrow it, or do I recommend you scale back? It comes down to the fact that like I know it's like to go through the mental stuff, and I would be in error to say like go build a $3 million business, because like it's ultimately like going to do exactly the opposite of what you want, which is like be with the kids, be with the family. And when you spend time with them, you'll be more stressed out if you have a GM that comes along and all of a sudden they're trying to screw you over, they're trying to take jobs from you, they're doing weird stuff. Like that's more stressful. It's like, what stress do you want? And so it's like, do you want the stress of like the debt and like having that for the next 3 to 5 years while everything's paid off? Like it's gonna be extremely difficult.
I was hoping you were gonna say some magic word or something. Like,
well, if you bought this,
Aaron.
if you bought one more,
here's Mike's wisdom.
if you bought one more chipper right here, I just feel it's like, this balance out the shop a little more. Oh man. But no, like it's tough because like I have not been through everything you have, and so my level of stress tolerance is probably less than yours, like significantly, and there's tolerance for that much risk. Like personally, I would say get rid of the 80% of equipment that you don't use 95% of the time. Right? Like the last time we used this was probably what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yes. Somewhere around there.
Same thing with the chipper. It's just like, if I'm not using it at least 2-3 times a week, I'm just gonna go rent it. And it's like, well, I can't find it. Well, I'll pay double, I'll pay triple, but like this fixed expense of $2,000 a month means that if we don't make at least 20 grand a month from this one piece of equipment, I'm not buying it.
So what I get what you're saying, one reason, like, I can do, a $25,000 job in like 3 days having this stuff, you know? So it just, I got to get some more of those jobs,
Yeah, and that's the growth strategy, right? It's like the debt of the United States. It's like either A, we try to like cut expenses and like go like that way, or we just grow this thing, right? And so the growth strategy is there. I'm mostly concerned about the fact that like the whole reason of growing the business comes into jeopardy if you grow and get stressed out. And then we're right back into the same cycle. That's my only concern. Because if you had like a partner or like someone that came along, or even a great GM that was like, hey man, I can take this equipment, I have rented all this equipment, I can sell, and I'm gonna build this bad boy, we're gonna build this like $3 million. That would be a good use of these assets. Because you could build $1 million just tree removal. You could build $1 million just your landscaping stuff. You could build $1 million just your maintenance. And so that becomes a $3 million company that looks really good.
And do you know any of those guys?
No, that's why I don't do these complicated services, and that's why I don't do these. It's hard to find those type of people, because like if they know how to do all this stuff, they're doing it. Well, hey man, I wish you all the best. I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you.
And although we have very differing philosophies, I want you to win so bad.
I will.
And so I just wanted to make it clear. Like, I know sometimes it's like I'm telling you the opposite, and then you go the different direction. But I just want you to win. I just want to see you win.
We will, man.
And it's a different way of getting there. And I think it's just a matter of like, I generally believe it's like your risk tolerance is like extremely high, and it's because you've been through a lot. And so I respect you for that.